Starting on your backs, and feel the connection of your body on the mat. And just take a moment and close your eyes and just observe, feel the connection of the back of the head, the rib cage, and your pelvis, and feel it connected to the earth, connected to your mat. And notice your breath. With every breath, notice how it feels to inhale and exhale. And notice when you inhale, observe where the breath is expanding in your body. And as you exhale, observe how it leaves. And as you continue to just simply breathe, on your next exhale, bring your belly button towards the floor and feel you've created zero space between your body and the earth. And as you inhale, reach your tailbone to the floor and feel the space you're creating in your lower back. So continue exhaling and inhaling. And just a reminder that we are videotaping for later. Hopefully we're just going to get some really quick, easy movements to help us reset. And we're just observing. Notice what's happening as you inhale and exhale, moving that pelvis back and forth. So let's find our neutral spine. So feel the back of the head, the back of the rib cage, and your pelvis on the mat, and see if you can feel those hip bones that rest on top. If you can imagine what the pelvis looks like, and feel that those hip bones are parallel to the ceiling. Now maintaining that, just lift your right leg into tabletop. And we're a strong group today, so I'm going to have you lift your left leg up immediately. And just for a moment, let's do the pelvic tilt here. So as you exhale, notice what happens when you press your belly button down to the mat. So you can see that my lower body is moving along with my spine. And I'm making an effort to keep my shins parallel to the floor. I'm also noticing this is not an easy movement. It looks really easy, but I can feel a lot of action happening. And then find that neutral spine again and tap one foot down at a time from your hip joint. So we're going to start simple like this. If this is a morning where you're thinking, I really could use a lot easier than this, just bring your feet to the floor and lift one leg at a time. There's something for everybody. And just lift one leg at a time. And if you want more of a challenge, go from up to down. And then bring both legs together. And if you can see your knees, that would be great. Just start to open both legs to the side and draw them in towards each other. So as you do that, notice what's happening with your feet. The reason I say that is when I'm teaching this for the first time, I usually see people externally rotating like this. So it almost looks like they're doing sort of a frog or clams, but I really want just a side to side like this. So I'm going to show you, keep going. So if you were here, I see this a lot. What I really want is a little here. This is really great, especially if you want to keep your hips happy and healthy, and you could do both together. And you should not be able to see my feet behind my knees because everything is lined up. And then let's tap down again, up and down, maintaining the pelvis. Maybe you're really ambitious and you want to bring both feet down and up, and see if you can maintain that neutral spine there. And then you can wrap your hands around your shins, allow your hips to really relax, and just simultaneously circle those knees outward. And then reverse it. And it should feel super therapeutic. And then bring both feet down and bring your hands towards the ceiling. And we'll just do the simple, really reach like you're trying to separate your shoulder blades and then plug them down. Either extending out of the sockets or plugging them in. Plug them in one more time, palms towards your knees, and bring one arm behind you at a time. So you could do like I'm doing, or you can bring it bigger like this, or you can exhale as you bring both arms behind you and come back in. And then bring your hands by your hips and walk your feet in as close as it feels right to you. You're about hip width apart, and just start back to those pelvic tilts. So the next time you exhale and your belly button comes towards the floor, start to lift your pelvis up and feel your spine lengthening as you lift higher and higher, bringing your hips up, maintaining your ribs down, and then peel down one vertebra at a time. So take your time articulating your spine up and down. And just notice what you feel here. If you cramp up, if your legs are feeling crampy, just come down and let it resolve. And hopefully you're feeling a nice massage in your back. You might feel a lot of energy in your legs, and just the more you do this, the higher you can get with your pelvis, creating more space in the hip flexors, finding that extension there, which really helps release the psoas. That's it, just a couple more. One more and hold it. And see, in this position, can you lengthen your hips even higher? Draw your thigh bones towards each other, and then reluctantly bring your spine all the way down to the mat. And then we're going to bring our legs back to tabletop, arms out to the side, and just let your legs drop a little to the right. Come back center, let them drop a little to the left. Now you notice when I go one side that the hip comes off the floor a little, because I'm really just rocking that pelvis side to side. It should feel kind of good. Now from here, if you like to go even further, explore how far down you can bring those legs all the way down to the side. Maybe that isn't for you. Take a moment here, and on your next exhale, lift your legs up and let both legs come all the way down to the other side. Just take a moment. As you exhale, come center. So you find the distance that works for you. Now there's a lot of other things we can do here, but for today, I'm going to have you bring your feet back down to the mat. Bring your hands, interlace them behind your head, and lift your elbows just a little bit. You should see them in your peripheral vision. On your next exhale, press the lower ribs into the mat to lift your head, neck, and shoulders off the mat. Allow your head to rest into your hands. If you are able to, I'd love to see you press them down even further. Then bring your hands behind your hamstrings, even higher in the chest. Hands back behind the head and lower back down. Exhale and lift. Hands behind the hamstrings. Come even higher. Hands back behind the head. Come back down. Exhale, start to lift. Hands behind the hamstrings. Lift a little higher. Hands behind the head. Come back down. So now I didn't mention it, but start to exhale and then lift. Hands behind the hamstrings. Lift a little higher, hands behind the head, and come back down. And let's take another bridge. So we're going to lift those hips all the way up. Really feel the length in the hips. The ribs are down, and slowly come down. So because we had a request to stretch psoas, I'm going to walk your feet to the wider edges of the mat. And we're just going to begin windshield wipering those legs side to side. Again, observing how you're feeling. And the next time your legs drop to the left, just let them stay there. And observe. If you feel anything in that right knee, you can put like a block or a pillow under it. Or if you have your foam roller handy, that works too. My hope is this feels good and that you might feel a little stretch in the front of your right thigh. I even feel it all the way into my back a little. And just stay here and think of pressing the back of that leg forward. Now you should really feel the front of that right leg and allow it to relax. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Pick up your right elbow and bring it all the way up and over to the floor on the left side and stay here and breathe. Here is where you should feel it going into that psoas, so it should go really deep into the front of your body. If you don't feel it, doesn't mean you're not doing it right. I feel it anywhere from where I'm placing my hand all the way through to the front. And I'm just resting, I'm not forcing anything. And I'd love to hold this longer, but for today, I'm going to go ahead. Now we're going to do the request for opening up that band in our chest. So you're already here with your elbows stacked. Your shoulder blades are down towards your hips. You should be able to see that because my back is facing you. So what I see a lot of is this. What I'd like is this. And then let that right elbow lift up. And just roll your head. Look towards your right elbow and start to roll your right shoulder blade towards the floor, and just take your time. Think of the shoulder blade reaching towards the floor as opposed to the elbow. So really think about just opening everything up. So you're really opening up that chest. It should feel great. Some of us are going to feel this in our backs. This is really a full body stretch. Take a couple deep breaths here. Then unravel. Pick up your right foot, bring it behind you and roll back to your back. Feet are nice and wide on the mat. And just start windshield wipering your legs again and just observe how it feels. Notice where you feel the tightest. Then allow both legs to drop down to the right. Stay here. Notice how it feels on the left side. It might be deeper, it might be nothing. And then think of pressing the back of that left thigh bone forward. Boy, I feel that today. My left thigh is really saying hello. And then allow that leg to relax. Interlace your fingers behind your head. Pick up your left elbow and bring it all the way up and over. And just relax here. And just let gravity help you reach your elbow towards the floor. And same thing, you might feel it in your lower back. You might feel it all the way through to the front. You'll notice one side feels different than the other. And let your breath help you get even deeper into the pose. Then lay completely onto your right side. Knees are stacked. Elbows are on top of each other and shoulder blades are pressed down. Lift up your left elbow. Feel the shoulder blade pressing down even more. And start to roll back and aiming your left shoulder blade to the mat. And your head is looking over your left elbow. And you're just going to stay here and allow yourself to open up. You may notice one side is tighter than the other. And notice that it connects even into the neck. Just allow yourself to naturally open up. In one of my live classes, somebody commented, well, the longer we hold it, the deeper I go. And I'm like, yes, exactly. You could hold this as long as you like. And then unravel. Pick up your left foot, bring it behind you, and roll back to your back. From here, wrap your hands around your hamstrings. We're just going to take a nice, easy, assisted roll up. So as you exhale, press your toes towards the wall in front of you and slowly roll all the way up to sitting tall. And then we're going to find our way to our hands and knees. And feel your hands nice and wide. And just watch, because a lot of times when people do this, they bring their arms in like this. You kind of want that index finger to be pointing straight forward so that you're nice and aligned, and really feel your hands getting a nice stretch. I feel this in my thumbs and my wrists. And if you want to play around with it, you can take your hands and point them towards you and bring them back out, and just feel the stretch you're creating there. So now from here, let's inhale and feel your chest reaching towards the floor, more opening in that chest. And as you exhale, feel your lower back reaching towards the ceiling. Let your breath guide you through the movements. And take a moment and notice, are you really breathing and letting your movement follow the breath? Or are you moving and the breath is just along for the ride? One of the principles we learned in the Pilates training was movement facilitates breath and breath facilitates movement. Come back center. Can you maintain this position and not change anything as you reach your right arm forward? Bring it down. Reach your left arm forward and bring it down. Reach your right foot back, lift it up, bring it down. Left foot back, lift it up, bring it down. Alternate left hand, right leg. And come down. I'm trying to maintain a neutral spine, but I'm going to turn so I can see you guys. Nice. Really feel the self-created traction. Then your choice, if you can maintain being on your hands, great. If not, just come down to your forearms. Just know that this is more challenging in the hamstrings. So it's really up to you. I want you to curl your toes under and find your way into either dolphin for yoga or downward facing dog. So whatever version is best for you. Your head, your ears are between your arms. Your feet are about hip width apart, and you can reach your heels towards the earth and know that it's not normal if you, let me rephrase that, it's fine if your heels don't reach the floor. See if you can feel like somebody is wrapping their hands around your shoulder blades, pulling them towards your hips. Maybe bend and straighten those legs a little more. And then walk your feet to the center of the mat and bring your hands to your thighs. So stop here, and this should help with blood pressure issues. And as you exhale, find a standing cat. So feel that lower back reaching towards the sky. And as you inhale, standing cow, reach your chest to the sky. And you can do as many of these as you like, really feeling your spine moving. And the next time your back is nice and flat, press your left hand into your left leg and look over your right shoulder. So we're getting back into that psoas. I don't know if you can tell. Then come up and switch sides. Take your time, no forcing. Come back center and exhale, roll from that cat pose all the way up to standing. I'm going to come back down because I just went headless for my class. So you're standing nice and tall, and you're going to roll your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Standing nice and tall, think of reaching your right ear towards the sky. And just stay here. And if you can see yourself, make sure your shoulders are even. If you can't, see if you can feel it. Everybody should feel a little stretch into the right side of their neck. And then roll your head, look down at your left armpit, and take a moment here. Take your your left hand behind you and press your head into your hand. Release your hand down, roll your chin center. Lift your head up. Now lift your left ear towards the ceiling. Keep your shoulders even. And just take a moment here. So I'm not forcing anything. I'm just letting the weight of my head naturally stretch. And then I'm going to look down towards the right armpit. Take your right hand behind your head, press your head into your hands. Release, roll your chin center, lift your head up. One more stretch for the upper traps. So you're going to bring your arms into like a 90-degree angle, and you're going to take your right arm and your right elbows under your left. This might be all you're able to do, but if you're able to, get the backs of your hands to touch. And if you're able to, give yourself a little more of a pretzel. And just from here, let your elbows rest down a little and then lift them up a little. And then from here, if you're really good, you can open the hands away from you. You should feel a deep stretch in the top of your shoulders. Then give yourself a tiny little hug. And we're going to switch it back to 90 degrees. This time your left elbow is under your right, and you find where it works for you. And same thing, if you want to, arms up and away. A nice little hug. I wish you all love, peace, joy, and wonderful good health always. Namaste. And I'm going to turn off the video, and I got a couple minutes.